Hi, I'm Dan Nelson. Thanks for joining me for another free art lesson. Well, I've progressed to the human arm, the human arms. In my opening sketch here, I've got a fine-looking woman's arm. Okay, I'm just teasing you. It's pretty obviously not a typical woman's arm. In fact, one of the great challenges when you're doing a portraiture or a figure drawing is, how do you draw a woman's arm? Most of the time, forgive me, you gym babes and bodybuilders, most of the time a woman's arm is almost non-distinct. It's a perfect cylinder from shoulder to elbow and elbow to hand. Of course, I'm not complaining. We love women's arms just the way they are. But I'm going to focus more on the male arm. Suffice it to say, anything that we do to render a male arm, you simply tone it down and it'll be a woman's arm. Fair enough? A little bit about how the arm grows out of the chest, out of the rib cage, the chest box, as I've called it earlier. Do you remember, if you haven't seen it, we've got a trapezoid here and a triangle laid on top of it. Look this up if I'm confusing you. And then a really good space marker is just a sphere. If you can envision this growing right out of the shoulder. Now, how far it sticks out is, a matter of how muscular this guy is in his development. But that's a very good representation of the deltoid muscle. There's a front, rear, and mid deltoid, all of which actually constructs just about like a circle. Now, you can get books on anatomy and get much, much, much more detailed than I'm getting right now. This is just the beginning stages. But if you put that sphere in there, that gives a good starting point for where the arm grows out of the trunk. Just a couple real simple comments. The bicep, the muscle on the front of the arm, is short and squat, again, depending on how many curls this guy's been doing. And the triceps, on the other hand, are much elongated. Let me show you that straight from a side view. There's a short, squat bicep and tricep. Okay, just if you get that distinction right, you'll be much better off. There's a lot we could say about the elbow. I'm not going to say too much. The skeletal structure inside this arm is, in the upper arm, there's one bone. You know this, don't you? And in the lower arm, there are two bones. And the more you study the human anatomy, the more incredible it becomes, how these two bones rotate and twist around each other to give us the movement that we have. It's a good idea to have both of these in mind. And of course, we see the end of, what is it, our fibula or tibula? One is on one inside and one's on the outside. And ask your doctor which one's the fibula and tibula. I'm forgetting right now. Doesn't matter. But you see the protrusion, both on the outside and on the inside of the elbow. Just a real quick, if you're looking at a man's arm from the back, okay, like this, if you're looking at a man's arm, there's his elongated tricep, bump, and forearm moving away from us. So just a real quick trick. If you're seeing a man from the back, that's essentially what his arm will look like. You see? Bump here, and then the elbow itself and the forearm is moving away from me. Now, if we simply take that arm and straighten it out this way, then the arm extends down this, and there's a extra fold of skin that actually gets bent up like that and forms somewhat of an elbow crease. Again, just very, very simply. Do you see that? In other words, I'm removing that line. If this arm is straightened down, the fold of the skin gets bunched up above that joint right there. Okay, let me move on then to the forearm. I'm going to view a man from the front, and I'm going to view his left arm. Again, just getting some of these broad strokes in the right place will help you a great deal. Are you with me? This is a man. We're looking at him front on. That's not a very good drawing, but bear with me just for a moment. What I want to show you mainly is the two curves, one that represents the inside of his arm and one that represents the outside. The outside curve is long and straight. The inside curve has a slight S shape to it. In other words, you can see here on my arm, this part of my upper arm, lower arm. Is this my upper or my lower arm? It's my lower arm. Bulges out here and then straightens out. Same thing, even if I turn it this way, there's still more of a bulge here and more of a straight line, a straight curve. Can I use that terminology? A straight curve here and more of a bulge right there. So that's what I'm reflecting here. Again, my ratios are a little bit off, but I wanted to give you a quick idea of that. Now, if you want to get into more and more detail, if you're doing superhero cartoons, you're going to have to use somebody else's arms besides me. You're going to start doing the veiny things up here and all that stuff that the superhero comic books are good for. By the way, not a bad way to learn anatomy is to do superhero cartoons, but just do it and then get over it, okay? Just move on. If you view an arm from the inside, again, lower arm, there's of course this very famous, very, very well-known crease at the wrist and these tendons that come up into the lower arm fade out from there. And of course, then there's also a blood vessel or two down there. But we're going to do the hand later, so I'm going to leave that for now. Very often, the inside of the elbow is hard to draw. It depends what the angle is. Sometimes there's a little crease seen. Sometimes there's not a crease. These are, again, the two bones, the fibula and tibula up there. This would be somebody's left arm pointing at us. I think that'll do it for now. Let's go on to legs. Well, hands or legs next. I don't know which. Depends which one you want to see first. Hope this is helpful. Look forward to being with you again. Thanks.